Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So our topic for today is hypothesis testing with the known variance. Okay, so when we say the known variance, this variance or standard deviation is associated with the population. Okay, so here are the steps in hypothesis testing. First, we're going to state the null and alternative hypothesis. Next, we need to identify the level of significance along with the givens such as the sample size, standard deviation, and the means, including the population mean and the sample mean. Okay, next, we're going to identify the critical value according to which type of tail test and the level of significance. The tail test consists of the two choices. So it's either one tail or two tail. Okay, so the step 4 is we're going to calculate the test statistic. So the formula will be provided on this step. Okay, so in the test 5, we're going to decide whether to accept or reject a null hypothesis. Then, lastly, we're going to draw conclusions. Okay, so here are the following illustrations according to the type of test. So if it's one tail test, okay, so here are the two cases, right or left. So if it's right, okay, so if the z value is greater than the critical value, then we can say that we reject the null hypothesis and this leads us to the alternative hypothesis. However, for the left tail test, okay, so if the z value is less than the critical value, so it means to say that we reject the null hypothesis or we accept the alternative hypothesis. The white portions represents the acceptance region while the red portions represent the rejection region. So in the two-tailed test, so it is used when there is no specific difference. So kapag not equal ang symbol neto. So it means to say that there are two rejection regions. So if either pasok yun sa region na yon na rejection, it means to say that the alternative hypothesis has been accepted while the null has been rejected. Okay, so here are the problems. So first, among the 160 grade 11 students, the mean score in their statistics and probability is 80 with a standard deviation of 30. So this means that the standard deviation is associated with the population or the sample size of 160. So this standard deviation is associated with 160. That's why we use this Z-test. Kasi yung 160 na yon, it is greater than 30. Okay? So Miss Caution is claiming that the mean score for a population of grade 11 students is not equal to 84 at a level of significance of 5%. What is the thing? So, okay, so why are we going to use the Z-test or the Z-score? It's all because our sample is greater than 30. Okay, so here is the first step. Okay, so we're going to identify the null and the alternative hypothesis. The H sub 0 is the null, then the H sub A is the alternative. Okay, so going back to this problem, okay, so the population mean is 84. So 84 is associated to this population while this 80 is associated to this sample. Okay. Why there's no specific number in population? Because we do not know exactly what is the population. Yung 160 na yun, that is just the sample size. Okay, the H sub 0 is mu is equal to 84. While on the other way around, the alternative hypothesis states yung not equal. So this is the representation of the alternative hypothesis. Keep in mind that the null hypothesis uses the symbol of equal. It means to say no difference at all. While the alternative hypothesis, it indicates the difference, whether greater than, less than, or not equal to. So step 2 natin, okay, so ang gagawin natin, ang level of significance natin will be alpha equals 0.05. Okay, so this is the level of significance. Okay, now we're going to state the given. So the population mean is 84. Well, the sample mean is 80. The standard deviation is 30. Then the sample size is 160. Okay. For the step 3, okay, so in order to get the critical value, okay, so since we have to identify anong klaseng tailed siya. So, since equal or not equal ang signs or symbols, we can identify that this is a two-tailed test. Okay. So, what are we going to do is we're going to divide this by 2. So, it will become 0.025. Then we're going to subtract it with the half of the normal curve with the the alpha divided by 2, which is 0.025. Bakit dinivide siya sa 2? Kasi two-tailed siya. Pag two-tailed kasi, they are two rejection areas. Okay. So, subtracting po, it will become 0.4750. Okay. So, now, in order to identify the z value, okay, so now we're going to use the z table. So why are we going to use the z table? Because this will help us in identifying the z value according to the region. Okay, so where is the 0.4750? So let's find. Okay, so here, so this corresponds to, I'm going to underline to make it specific. So this corresponds to 1.96. So the z value is equal to plus minus 1.96. So it means to say, based on this normal curve, okay, so the rejection regions will be negative 1.96, and here it will be 1.96. So this is the visual representation of the critical value. Okay, so here in the step 4, we're going to recall the formula. Okay, so this will be your guide. Okay, so what are we going to do here in the step 4 is we're going to recall all the given. Okay, so it will become, the z value will become 80 minus 84. Then the standard deviation will be 30, then divided by the square root of 160. Okay, so subtracting, okay, so 80 minus 84 will be negative 4. Then over 30, then we're going to multiply it with the square root of 160. Okay, so now, what are we going to do is we're going to divide negative 4 with 30. So it will be negative, so dividing, it will become negative 0.1333 times, okay, so we're going to find the square root of 160, so it will become 12.65. So I had rounded off to 2 decimal places. So multiplying, so I have decided to approximate this to negative 1.69. Okay, so this is the z value that is approximated. So in step 5, what are we going to do is we're going to compare negative 1.69. Okay, so where does it lie? Okay, so I'm going to draw the normal curve. Okay, so this is negative 1.96. Then this is 1.96. I'm going to shade this for the rejection region. So, negative 1.69 is between, oops. Okay, so I'm going to erase. Okay, so since negative 1.69 is a negative value, this is lower than 1.96 but higher than negative 1.96. So we're going to assign here negative 1.69. So it means to say that this is greater than negative 1.96. However, this is less than 1.96, or negative 1.96 is less than x, or shall I say negative 1.69 is less than 1.96. So this lies in the acceptance region. So we have decided to accept HO, which is the null hypothesis. So this means that, okay, so going back to this problem, okay, so the population mean is 84. Okay, otherwise, or not otherwise, so implying that there is no significant difference. So this is very important when we're going to do comparative studies, friends, between the sample and population means. Okay, so now we had tested the claim, and the claim has stated that there's no significant difference between the means, and the population mean is 84. Miss Kapal has observed in the data that the average age of 225 talent show auditionees was 28 with a standard deviation of 25. However, she's claiming that the average age of the population of the auditionees is higher than 32, and the level of significance is 1%. So, okay, so I had made a typographical error, so it should be with a level of 100, significance of 1%. Okay, so this means that the significance level is 1%. Okay, so I just forgot to place the width. Okay, so what is the claim? So, ayan, may singit na siya. So, let me repeat this. However, she is claiming that the average age of the population of the auditionees is higher than 32 with a level of significance of 1%. What is the claim? Okay, so we're going to do the same step. Okay, so what are we going to do here is to state the null and the alternative. Okay, so we can tell that the population mean, so going back, so the population mean is 32, so mu is equal to 32, while in the alternative hypothesis, okay, we can find this through observing yung kiniklaim ng tao. Yung alternative hypothesis, yun yung palaging kiniklaim, or binibilieve, or ni-report, or ina-assume. Okay, so the alternative hypothesis is mu is greater than 32. Kasi greater than or higher than siya. Tapos pag sinabing step 2 po, the level of significance is 0.01. Okay, then we're going to state the given. Mu is 32. Then the sample mean is 28. Then the standard deviation is 25. Then the sample size is 225. Okay, so why are we going to use the Z-test again? Kasi yung sample size niya is greater than 30. So, okay lang naman na na-associated yung standard deviation sa sample size as long as the sample size is greater than 30. Okay, so in step 3, what are we going to do is we're going to use the z value. Okay, but before that, we're going to identify the critical region first, or the critical value. So in order to do this, we're going just to subtract with 0.500 or zero point 0.5. Okay, it's 0.5000 minus 0.0100, so which is 0.4900. So this is the area according to the table. So now we're going to look the 0.4900. Okay, so here, so since this is closer to 4900, we need to find the closest, the closest region, the area of the curve. We need to find the z value that corresponds to the closest value or the closest area na nagko-correspond sa z value mismo. So, yung closest mismo sa computed area mismo. So, yung 0.4901 is closest to 0.4900. So, the z value is 2 point, yung z value natin is 2.33. Okay, so yung 2.33 natin, yun ang z value. Why hindi tayo nag-divide sa 2? Kasi this is one-tailed. Okay, so keep in mind that if it's greater than or less than, higher than or lower than, taller than or shorter than, bigger than or smaller than, one-tailed ang gagamitin natin. Pag one-tailed test po ito, diretso na po tayo sa pagsusubtract ng 0.5000 sa 0.01. Hindi na tayo magdi-divide ng level of significance kasi one-tailed siya. We're going to divide the level of significance by 2 if it is two-tailed. Since this is one-tailed, we're going to subtract with 0.5000 with the significance level right away kasi one-tailed siya. Okay, so now we're going to use the normal curve to represent. Okay, so this is 2.33. Since greater than siya, the critical value is 2.33. So we're going to shade this right. So this is the reject. So, but the rest is accept. Okay? So let's see what will happen. Okay? So here, for the step 4, now we're going to recall the z value formula. Okay? So what are we going to do is we're going to recall the given. So we're going to substitute based on the given. So the sample mean is 28 minus 32 divided by the standard deviation is 25. Then divided by the square root of 225. Okay, so we're going to simplify po. So negative 4 over 25. But, oops, okay. So here, what are we going to do here is, we're going to multiply this with square root of 225. So what are we going to do is we're going to simplify the square root, which is 15. So it will become negative 60 over 25. So this means that this is negative 2.4. Okay, so we're going to decide if we're going to accept or no. So what are we going to do is negative 2.4 is less than 2.33. So this means that the HO is accepted. So the null hypothesis has been accepted because based on this curve, okay, it is indicated that negative 2.4 is outside the rejection region. Okay? So, kailangan kasi yan Z na yan ay mas mataas sa 2.33 since based on the null hypothesis, greater than 32 siya. Okay? So, we can tell that mu is less than 32 because this belongs to the acceptance region. Or formally saying mu is less than or equal to 32. Okay, so the population mean kasi is 32. Yun yung naka-indicate. So yung 32 na yan, yan yung naka-correspond sa population. While yung 28 na yan, yun yung nag-associate sa sample. Okay, so the null hypothesis has been accepted. So since this is accepted, it is claimed that the population mean is less than 32. This indicates that there is no significant difference between the means. So we can also tell that the population mean is also equal to 32. So pwede less than or pwede equal. So either sa dalawang to is less than or equal to. So much better po kung equal na lang siya para hindi kayo malito. Okay? So here, for the next and the last problem for this video, okay, so Mr. Nunez had reported that the annual salary of the population of his employees in his company is less than 20,000 with a standard deviation of 1,500 pesos. A sample of 16 employees has an average salary of 18,000. At 10% significance level, he is claiming that the employees earn less than 20,000 a month. So what is the claim? Okay. So basahin natin mabuti itong problem na to. Okay. So keep in mind that this 1,500 standard deviation is associated with the population. Okay. So bakit tayo magzi-Z-test kahit yung sample natin ay 16? Okay. Bakit? Kasi we have the known population variance or standard deviation. Yan standard deviation kasi must be associated with the population. So wala tayong standard deviation para sa sample kundi sa population na mismo. Yung 1,500 ay para sa population. Okay? So yung population mean natin ay 20,000. Tapos yung sample mean natin is 18,000. Okay, so what are we going to do here is, yung sa step 1 natin. Okay, so we're going to identify the null hypothesis and the alternative hypothesis. Okay, so the null hypothesis has stated that the mu is equal to 20,000 while the mu is less than 20,000. So, kiniklaim kasi ni Mr. Nunez na less than 20,000 siya. Yung null hypothesis kasi, bakit equal siya? Kasi no difference siya. Opposite siya ng alternative kasi. So, pag hindi pasok yung Z value nyo sa rejection region, ibig sabihin, you have to accept the null hypothesis. Si null hypothesis kasi ay si YT, tapos si rejection the null hypothesis, si shaded. Okay, si step 2 natin, yung significance level natin is 0.10, while the mu is 20,000, while the n is equal to 16, while the standard deviation is 1,500, while the mean is 18,000. Okay, so the step 3 is we're going to identify the area. So same thing, we're going to subtract this with 0.5 with 0.1. So it will become 0.4000. So we're going to correspond. Okay, so 0.4. Okay, so we're going to locate. So this one is close with 3.997. Okay, so we can tell that, so super lapit kasi closest siya sa 3.997. So we can tell that the critical value is 1.28. So the critical value is 1.28. Oops, I'm so sorry. This is one-tailed test kasi less than siya. There is a specific comparison. Yung less than or greater than, specific comparison yan. So this is one-tailed test. Okay, so since less than ang usapan, okay, so we can tell that this is negative 1.28. So yung z natin is equal to negative 1.28. Bakit less than siya? Kasi una sa lahat, bakit negative ang critical value natin? Kasi less than po siya. Kasi sa rejection regions, dalawa lang yan eh. So, kung ang critical value ay 1.28, ang possible rejection regions ay 1.28 or negative 1.28. So, yun yung possible critical values. Pero since less than siya, negative ang z-value natin. Pero pag greater than siya, magiging positive ang critical value natin. Tapos greater than the critical value mismo. So, ito po yung chosen na critical value dahil less than siya. So, it means to say, left-tailed siya. So, going back to the previous example, dito kasi right-tailed siya kasi greater than siya. Pero dito naman, left-tailed siya dahil less than siya. Okay, so now we're going to solve. Okie dokie. So, yung sample mean niya is 18,000 minus 20,000. So, yung standard deviation niya is 1,500 divided by square root of 16. Okay, so subtracting, it will become negative 2,000 divided by 1,500 and times square root of 16. So this will be square root of 4 siya. Okay, so this is now the moment of computation. Okay, so now we're going to compute it directly. So negative 8,000 divided by 1,500. Okay. So the final answer is negative 5.33 approximately. So nina-round off siya to 2 decimal places para hindi siya nakakalito. So negative 5.33. So comparing with the z-value which is negative 1.28. Ayan, finally, this is less than na siya. So drawing the normal curve. So this is negative 1.28. Tapos isi-shade na natin to. So, nandito si negative 5.33. So, nasa reject na siya. Okay, so we can tell that reject the null hypothesis. So, yung claim natin that the population mean salary, pag sinabing mean kasi average yan ha, is less than 20,000. So, yan 20,000 na yan, yan yung population mean. So, bale less than siya. So, we can tell that there is a significant difference the means. Okay, so pag nag-reject po tayo ng null hypothesis, there is a significant difference between the means. So do not forget to subscribe my YouTube channel and hit the notification bell. And great thanks to my friend Erika for validating these word problems and solutions. So thank you and God bless. Happy learning and stay safe.